In this lesson of Module 2, we will learn the fundamentals of calories and nutrients. In order to know how all diets work the same, we must understand these fundamentals. Let's do it. Calories and nutrients, they are the building blocks, they are the basic fundamentals of nutrition. And so we got to jump in and address and understand how they work before we can get any further with our diet. First fundamental belief we need to change. A calorie is a calorie. All calories are the same. You may hear this belief pretty often, but it does not set you up for the most success. To some degree, it can work, but here's the better way to look at it. Calories measure the same thing. All calories are not the same, they measure the same thing. They measure the energy in food. And all foods have different nutrients, even if they are the same calories. And here's what I mean by that. If we have 2 tablespoons of just sugar, white sugar, and we have 1 medium banana, they are both 100 calories. However, the banana has a lot of micronutrients in it that the sugar doesn't. And I'll explain more, but these are both a source of carbohydrates. Sugar is the purest form of carbohydrates. However, when we create table sugar like this, we refine away all of the micronutrients we may find in other real whole foods. So nutrition is not just about calories. I also want to explain how our body treats excess resources. If we have something like too much water, it's very easy for our body to flush it out, we pee it out. But if we have too much extra food, we don't just do that same thing like we do with water. We store it as body fat. We use it in other ways in our body that we can't just easily get rid of extra food like we can extra water. And so this is why understanding calories is so important, because we can't just get rid of all these extra calories if we are eating in extra. It's also important to note that what our body does with too little of these. We get dehydrated and we eventually get low energy and we don't feel as good as if we can have a good balance of either one. However, we can treat excess water much better and more efficiently than we can excess calories. And to explore this more, knowing that how much food we eat changes how we look, because if we are eating excess calories, that will cause us to gain excess body fat. How much food we eat changes how we look. We can know and decide what to do with our diet once we understand where we are on this simple chart right here. This chart is oversimplified, but it is very useful because in order to know where we are going, we must first know where we are. Try to see where you are most close to, then decide if you want to go more right and up or if you want to go more right and down. But remember, building muscle will always be our number one goal for life, for a strong physique, and for a foundation to our health. I also want to connect back to the last lesson when I was talking about crash dieting. Eating too little for too long of a period will actually not get us to this strong or healthy physique. In most extreme cases, if we are crash dieting for too long of a period, it will have us ending up with very little body fat but very little muscle as well. So to figure out where you are on this chart helped you decide your direction. This was me a few years ago, and I still wanted to lose a little bit more body fat and have a little bit more of this Greek statuesque look. And so I decided, okay, maybe build a little bit more muscle, but I do want to lose body fat. And so I will need to change up my diet in order to do that. But if you know that your diet and how many calories you consume changes the way you look, you also need to think about what you eat and how that makes you feel. If you want to look like a Greek god, you know it comes down to calories in versus calories out, and changing how much body fat you have on your body while still prioritizing muscle. If you want to feel like a Greek god, you must think about what we eat and prioritizing nutrient-dense foods as well. I'll talk about this more in future lessons, but a healthy body will always be able to lose body fat more easily than an unhealthy body. And the way you can have a healthy body is just eating real food and giving you all the micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals that your body needs. So your micronutrients are going to be those vitamins and minerals, but what you will think about most in your diet is your macronutrients. And having a balance of macronutrients is best for our health and for a successful diet. Eliminating one of these, say if you're doing a keto diet and you don't want to eat any carbs, it may lead to some short-term gains for some of those people using that diet, but it will lead to not being very healthy or successful in the long term. So understanding that balance is best with our macronutrients. In 1 gram of protein, there are 4 calories. In 1 gram of carbs, there are 4 calories. But in 1 gram of fats, there is 9 calories. So foods that are high in fats are a more calorie-dense food. But in terms of what balance may look like if we are eating 2,000 calories every day, 600 calories could come from protein, which would equal 150 grams of protein for that day, because there are 4 calories per 1 gram of protein. So 4 times 150 equals 600 calories for that day. If I have 700 calories from carbohydrates, that would equal 175 grams of carbs. Again, in carbs, there are 4 calories per 1 gram as well. And lastly, 700 calories could come from fat sources, which would equal only 78 grams of fat because, again, fats are more calorie dense. There's going to be 9 calories per 1 gram of fat. So connecting this to real life, what does this even look like in real life? If you're ever going to look on nutrition labels, you will see a lot of things, but the main things you should pay attention to are going to be those macronutrients, your protein, carbohydrates, and fats. These will have the most impact on your success with your diet. So if we're looking at this nutrition label for this light and fit Greek yogurt, it's one of my favorite snacks. It has a good amount of protein, as you can see in there, and it's really tasty as well. We're looking on this calorie label. So in one of these, the serving size, 1 cup of these, there's 80 calories overall. But in that 80 calories, there's 0 grams of fat, there's 8 grams of carbohydrates, and there's 12 grams of protein. So overall, there's a lot on this nutrition label right here, but if you're just going to look at a few things, notice the serving size and how much that's actually describing the calorie content and the nutrition content in that serving. And then notice there's going to be a calorie count on there. There's going to be total fat amount in grams, a total carbohydrate amount in grams, and a total protein amount in grams. You can completely ignore this percentage account because it doesn't really take into account individuals' diets and what we're trying to do specifically. And again, know that if you want to change your body composition, if you want to change the way you visually look, you need to take into account calories. That is going to be the number one driver for your diet and how it changes the way you look. But if you want to change the way you feel and you want to really feel like a Greek god and you want to be healthy, prioritize real foods with micronutrients in them. That is the end of this quick lesson, which we needed to cover first before we can dive into how all diets work the same, which we are talking about next. So you will see me there.